Welcome to Hire Power, the show where we cut through the noise and get real about hiring. I'm Kim Frost, founder of Frost Connections, and after 25 plus years in the search industry, I've seen what works and what absolutely doesn't. If you're a founder, CEO, VP, or HR leader who's tired of bad hires and ready to build a team that actually fits your culture and vision, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Welcome back. Diet Coke, 6 limes in hand. And I don't know what I'm more excited to share with you today. The fact that Higher Power is now ranked in the top 10% of podcasts globally, or my update on Diet Coke, Prosecco, and Orange Slice experiment. Honestly, it's probably a tie, but we'll start with the podcast. When my producer told me Higher Power had cracked the top 10% globally, I didn't believe it at all. So I checked. Then I checked again. And if I'm being completely honest, I probably checked a third and yes, a fourth time. Because sometimes you have to clean your glasses and make sure you're reading things correctly. And if you've ever seen my husband's glasses, you know exactly what I mean. I honestly don't know how he sees anything from those things. But seriously, though, thank you. Less than a year ago, this was just an idea. Today, Higher Power is ranked in the top 10% of podcasts globally. And that's because all of you who listen, share episodes, comment, and reach out. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you. Okay, the Diet Coke update. So last week I told you somebody that I absolutely adore suggested a summer drink, Diet Coke, Prosecco, and an orange slice. Well, I tried it. And the verdict? I loved it. In fact, I think it's officially my summer drink. And I can't wait to pour it for other people because when we all initially heard that combination, yes, it was an ew. Okay, but if any of you know me, you know I have my rules because I feel very strongly about these. First, it absolutely has to be Diet Coke, not Coke Zero, Diet Coke. Trust me on this. I only had 1 can of Diet Coke and I was making 3 drinks, 1 for myself, 2 friends. And yes, before you ask, I did make them try it first. The verdict, we all loved it. Naturally, we wanted another round. Unfortunately, all I had left was Coke Zero that I keep here for my mom. And I thought, well, how different could it be? The answer, very, very different, and no thank you. So, for anyone interested, here's the official recipe because I did text my friend. 1/3 Diet Coke, 2/3 Prosecco, not champagne, Prosecco, and a slice of orange. You're welcome. But here's what I found interesting, and it's going to lead me into today's podcast, is everybody had an opinion. Some people thought it sounded amazing. Some people thought it sounded ridiculous. Some people definitely questioned my judgment for trying it. And honestly, that's what happens when organizations decide to build a center of excellence. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody wants to add something. Everybody has a different vision of what it should become. And before long, you've got a recipe nobody understands and nobody wants to consume. Last week, we talked about why centers of excellence are making a comeback. This week, I'm going to tell you how to actually build one. But before we do that, let me tell you how I ended up going down this center of excellence rabbit hole in the first place. And like many things these days, it started with our friend AI. Over the past year, I've been talking to CEOs, founders, leadership teams, business owners, friends across all industries. And I keep hearing the same thing. We're looking at AI. We bought an AI tool. We need an AI strategy. We're becoming an AI consulting company. Our competitors are using AI. And on the surface, it sounds great. But when you peel back the layers, I started seeing something very different. Chaos. Lots of chaos. One department is using one tool, another department bought something completely different. Marketing is experimenting, sales is experimenting, HR is experimenting, operations is experimenting, but nobody is talking to each other. Nobody knows what's working. Budgets are growing, subscriptions are multiplying. And when you have subscriptions multiply, you have subscriptions that aren't being used because you bought another latest and the greatest. People are spending this kind of money because they're afraid they're getting left behind. And underneath all of it, there's a tremendous amount of uncertainty. Questions like, are we using the right tool? Oh, this tool is no longer relevant. You have to use this tool. Who owns it? What are the standards? How do we train people? How do we measure success, which is my favorite? And then how do we scale what works? And the more conversations I had, the more I realized this wasn't really an AI problem. It was an alignment problem. It was a leadership problem. It was a communication problem. And it was a knowledge sharing problem. So AI really wasn't creating these issues, it was exposing them. And that's when I started seeing centers of excellence come back into conversations. And again, maybe not under that term centers of excellence, but essentially that's what it is. Organizations don't want more processes. They don't want another committee. But these companies needed a way to create consistency, to share knowledge, to establish best practices, scale what works, and help everybody move in the same direction. That's why this topic matters, and that's why building a center of excellence could be advantageous. So if you're thinking about building one, I'm going to tell you how to do it right, because here's the truth. Most organizations don't fail because they lack smart people. They fail because they try to build a center of excellence the same way they build a committee. Everybody gets involved, everybody adds something, nobody owns the outcome, and yet somehow we're all expected to like the final product. So let's talk about how to build your center of excellence that your team will actually use. So first, let's clear up a common misconception. A center of excellence is not a department. It's not a title. It's not a committee. It is a capability. It's a capability. Yes, I said that twice because I really want you to hear this. The purpose of a center of excellence is simple: to identify, capture, scale, and continuously improve what great looks like. That's it. Super simple. The goal isn't more processes, the goal is more consistency. The goal is creating a repeatable way for excellence to happen across the organization instead of relying on a handful of superstar employees. Because let's be honest, most companies already have excellence. It's just trapped inside a few people. That top salesperson, the manager everybody wants to work for, that project leader who always seems to figure things out, and the employee everyone calls when something goes wrong. But what's the problem? When they leave, excellence leaves with them. And a great center of excellence can prevent that. Okay, pad and paper, keyboard, computer. Here we go. Step one. Start with a problem, not a structure. This is where most organizations make their first mistake. They start by asking, what should our center of excellence look like? Wrong question. The better question is, what problem are we trying to solve? Because successful COEs solve business problems. Unsuccessful COEs create org charts. Maybe leadership quality varies dramatically. Maybe onboarding is inconsistent. Maybe AI adoption is chaotic. Maybe customer experience depends on who answers the phone. Maybe every manager interviews candidates differently. Maybe succession planning doesn't exist. But start somewhere simple, and I think creating a center of excellence for AI is the perfect place to start because you're going to solve that business problem. And it's not a theoretical one. I see this all the time in my work. Companies call me because they think they have a hiring problem. After a few conversations, I discover, you know what? It's really not a hiring problem. It's leadership alignment, it's communication, it's employer brand, it's role clarity, it's succession planning. Hiring was simply the symptom. The same thing happens with Center of Excellence. Don't build one because it sounds smart. Build one because there's a business challenge worth solving. Step two, pick one area. Don't try to launch 5 COEs at once. I promise it won't end well. Just start with one. Like I said, AI, leadership, talent, sales, operations, customer experience. Pick one that you think would have the most meaningful impact if you improved it. Just one. The companies that do this well start focused. Think pilot program, not world domination. Step three, find people everybody already trusts. Every organization has experts. The challenge is most leaders don't know who they are. And here's what's important: expertise doesn't always follow a title. Some of the most influential people in your company may not be executives, they might not even be managers. They're simply the people everybody goes to when things get complicated. Those are the people that matter, the people that always get those calls. Those are your subject matter experts. One of the biggest mistakes you can do is create your center of excellence exclusively with senior leaders. Don't do it. Include the people who actually know how the work gets done. Step four, capture what great looks like. And this is where the magic happens. Most organizations know who their top performers are. Few know why they're successful. And that's the problem. Because if excellence can't be explained, it can't be replicated. Document what great looks like. What behaviors create success? That's actually one of the foundations of the questions we ask when we launch a search. What does success look like? What are those behaviors? What processes work consistently? What decision-making frameworks are being used? What separates top performers from average performers? Another question we ask. And here's the key: keep it simple. Nobody wants a 100-page manual because you know what? No one will read it. The best COEs create practical tools. Do a checklist, template, playbook, interview guide, leadership frameworks, decision trees. Simple beats sophisticated every time. Because if people won't use it, it doesn't matter how brilliant it is. Step five, build a community, not a kingdom. And this really could be the most important step because the minute a center of excellence starts believing in its own excellence, it's in trouble. The business owns excellence. The center of excellence enables it. So the goal is consistency, not control. The goal is influence, not authority. When COEs become kingdoms, people resist them. When they become communities, people embrace them. So ask yourself, how do we help leaders succeed? Not How do we make leaders follow our processes? One creates buy-in, the other creates workarounds. And I've seen it more often than I care to admit. Step 6, measure what matters. This is another reason why COEs fail. Nobody defined success. And eventually someone will ask, what value is this creating? Because if you can't answer that question, you're in trouble. So here are a couple examples. Your COE might track internal promotions, employee engagement, retention, succession readiness. A talent center of excellence might track quality of hire, time to fill, hiring manager satisfaction, new hire retention. An AI center of excellence might track adoption, productivity improvements, cost savings, time reductions. These measures don't need to be complicated, they just need to matter. And lastly, embed it into the business, not beside the business. And this is what I saw in the early 2000s. And this might be the most important point of the entire podcast. The old COEs often sat over here, and the businesses sat over there, and rarely they interacted. That's why many failed. The modern version works because it's embedded. It listens, it adapts, it partners, it solves real business problems. So think less headquarters, think internal consulting teams. And that's definitely something that was created in the 2000s. Think strategic enablement. Now let's go back to those questions I mentioned earlier. What's your story? What does your employer brand say? Are your leaders aligned? Do your managers know how to interview? Do your managers know how to lead? Do employees understand expectations? Is succession planning happening? Are future leaders being developed? So there, I just gave you the baseline for a talent architecture center of excellence because hiring doesn't happen in a vacuum. Every one of those areas impacts your ability to attract, retain, develop, and advance talent. Most organizations focus on the hire. The best organizations focus on the system that produces great hires, develops great leaders, and creates consistency long after someone joins the company. That's the difference. So, why is this important right now? Because AI is accelerating change. Markets are changing. Leadership expectations are changing. Employees are changing. Customers are changing. And organizations are realizing they can no longer rely on tribal knowledge. The companies that win over the next 5 years won't necessarily be the ones with the most technology. They'll be the ones that learn faster, share knowledge faster, develop leaders faster, adapt faster. And that's what a great center of excellence enables. So, if you're thinking about building a center of excellence, don't start by asking who should be on the team. Start by asking, what problem are we trying to solve? Then start small. Focus on one area. Find your experts. Capture what great looks like. Create practical tools, measure outcomes, and keep it connected to the business. Because the purpose of a center of excellence isn't to create more processes, it's to create more excellence. And that's the difference. Thanks for joining me on Higher Power. And if today's conversation sparked ideas about leadership, succession planning, talent strategy, AI adoption, or building a center of excellence, I'd love to hear from you. Because great organizations don't leave excellence to chance. They build systems that make it repeatable. Until next time, Keep building intentionally, keep developing great leaders. And if you try my Diet Coke Prosecco and orange combination, remember Diet Coke, not Coke Zero. That's it for this episode of Hire Power. If you're ready to hire smarter, connect with me at frostconnections.com or at LinkedIn at Kim Frost. And if you've got something to say about today's episode, follow the show and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, hire smart, lead better, and remember, how you hire is who you become. See you next week. No fluff, just better hires.